Whew. All right. Real estate. Am I right?
Hey there, folks. Welcome back for another exciting video. Today, we're coming at you with something a little bit different, which is our luxury real estate podcast. So, we wanted to do something a little bit different from the norm. This is a work in progress for us. So obviously any feedback is greatly appreciated. We really want to know, what do you want to know about in real estate in the luxury market here? Or maybe just in general. We're always happy to talk about other markets or learn new stuff about other markets for that matter. So it's always a lot of fun to be able to deep dive that. But yeah, this podcast, the intention behind it is really, we don't want to just be talking about the stats and the data and, kind of the heavy minutia. We want to be talking to you about what we as realtors are kind of perceiving to be the luxury market here. Show you some really cool homes that we're interested in right now, talk a bit about kind of the history of luxury real estate here, and so on and so forth. So it's an evolving process. Obviously, if you have ideas about what you might be interested in luxury real estate, please leave a comment below. And as always, if you like real estate, you maybe want to learn how to make a great cocktail, or you just want to learn about some cool houses, click that subscribe button down below for more great content just like this. All right. So today, before we jump into the video, we're actually going to be making a couple cocktails for ourselves so we have something to sip on while we talk shop.
All right. We are going to make one of my favorite drinks. Reminds me of summer. It's the Buy and Buy from the Buy and Buy.
We weren't able to find the exact measurements, so we're going to do our best. The Buy and Buy, please. People over there, please don't hate us too much for butchering it ostensibly, but we're going to do our darndest to make a great drink.
So it's going to be what we think. We know the ingredients, we don't know the mix. So we're going to go with 1 part peach flavored bourbon or peach flavored whiskey, 1 part peach flavored vodka, some part of cranberry juice, and some part of lemon juice. And we'll finish it off with some seltzer. So here we go.
All right. Now for the fun part. Let's get these lemons going. This is okay. This is fine. I just remember I used to have this really good one that you could literally like press down and just juices it for you. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Some good lemons. Lemon juice.
All right. I'm going to try 1.5 ounces of the peach flavored whiskey.
We got this baddie, cranberry. So that goes in here.
And 1.5 ounces of the peach flavored vodka. Somebody loves peach. All right. So they serve theirs in a mason jar. We don't quite have mason jars. We've got some jam jars, so those will have to do.
We're going to finish it with some soda water.
Get your reusable straw. Give it a good stir. Not bad. That is the Buy and Buy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations on making an almost as good cocktail as me.
Perfection.
So let's just jump right into it. Luxury real estate. What can we say about luxury real estate?
Might be helpful to start with a baseline.
Sure.
So when we talk about luxury real estate, what are we talking in terms of, say, price point?
So when I look at the luxury market in Portland, which is really where things start to become, we stop talking about the must-haves and we start talking about the wants. Typically that starts, I would say, at a baseline in the mid to high 8s. We do see some pretty nice homes in lower price points, but when you start talking about location, you start bringing in, lot size or finishes, then, generally becomes a more sought after price point. Portland, because of the nature of how it's broken up and all that, you tend to find kind of a smattering, I would say, of, price points in each neighborhood that are, fairly low to fairly high. I mean, there's certain areas, Irvington, Mount Tabor, Selwood, West Hills, that are all going to be, trending more towards, 7s and up. But by and large, we see a pretty decent spread across the board. And so we have an interesting market in that way, in that you're not going to just see exclusively luxury neighborhoods as often as you will see, a diverse array of homes in each neighborhood. Although, of course, trending more towards luxury. What's your favorite luxe neighborhood?
I probably have to go sort of old school, where the early mansions in Portland were being built, and that's sort of the outer downtown area and getting into sort of, what is it called? Kings Heights?
Yeah.
King Heights, just before the hills, but outside of downtown.
Yeah.
They have the beautiful views of the city. You're close to downtown, but you've still got that remove, which is really nice.
Totally.
What's your favorite luxe neighborhood?
I am a huge fan of the West Hills. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to be in the city, and the West Hills is a little bit removed, and those roads are terrifying at night. Single lane roads are not fun, especially on crazy steep hills.
And windy.
Windy, so windy. But, the array of architecture that's up there and the thought and consideration that goes into those homes, it's just astounding. And there's so much history up there. One of the neighborhoods that really, I would say, one of the homes that really stands out to me up there is actually, God, and I'm spacing on the address of it, but it was a socialite woman who actually was the creator of the curling iron. And, you don't really think about who made the curling iron, or whatever. What kind of house did the person who made the curling iron live in? But it's a really neat property, and I think actually sold very recently. So, it's just an old historic neighborhood. You see some really great houses. You also got to give some love to, of course, to Irvington. Always a lot of fun to drive through there. There's just such a wide array of homes there. You have mid-century and, turn of the century, craftsman's, Victorians, colonials. Yeah, you got it all. So those are my two. I didn't realize we had to pick just one, or maybe you thought you had to pick just one. I picked two.
Yeah, I thought I had to just pick one. I followed the rules.
Rule breaker, Maverick.
So I know we don't want to sit and crunch the numbers, but what are you seeing in sort of the trends of luxury market in Portland over 2021?
Great question. Great question. That is a great, what, Patrik? That is a great question.
Thinker on this one.
It's a thinker. So, from my vantage point, Portland, I don't think will ever be the kind of city that's just going to be like New York or Seattle, big city, lots of infrastructure that's kind of built around that. I mean, shoot, we don't even have the carpool lane, Hove lane, camera check or whatever to verify. We don't have that kind of infrastructure. So it's always going to be, I think, kind of the baby city, the younger sibling of Seattle or whatever.
I think that's also sort of the appeal of it too.
Yeah. But it is growing. I mean, at a pretty rapid rate. I mean, I think, what we can really probably anticipate is that as we see a greater influx of people from the feeder cities, from Chicago, from Seattle, from New York, from San Francisco, that the price points will continue to be driven up by that. We're going to see more and more people with cash or immediate access to, major funds coming in and saying, I'm not going to settle for X, Y, or Z property. I want something amazing, especially if they're going to be paying a premium for it, which the market is kind of trending towards. So, as we see that influx, that's going to continue to drive price points. So, I think the luxury market, even the baseline market, is kind of trending more towards those expensive cities, but the luxury market, as well, is going to kind of see that carry up as well.
It's pulling the city, the median and average price points up for the city overall.
Sure.
So it's always important to sort of separate out that luxury market from sort of the general population.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and then looking at the suburbs, you have Lake Oswego, Westland, a lot of people who are transplants from from other cities that are looking for the, close to Portland, close to downtown, close to whatever, but I still can get 2 acres of land, or maybe not Lake Oswego, but 2 acres of land in Westland is a lot more achievable, I think, than in Portland proper. Maybe even, yeah. Regardless, going further out to get kind of bigger properties, I think the kind of homes that we see. Well, let me ask you, what What do you consider to be a luxury property in Portland?
I think, that's an interesting question because it's got some flexibility for folks that are looking for a luxury property. If it's land, you're not probably going to find it in the core city, and so you're going to be in those suburbs. We took that bike ride up on Skyline, and there are some huge lots up there, and they've got a view of, depending on what side of the hill you're on, you've got beautiful views of the city either way.
Sure.
So I think if you're looking for land, you're going to be outer. Otherwise, there are obviously some beautiful condos downtown that command a nice price point as well as a beautiful view.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to that as well, if you're looking kind of Portland Metro in general, what we do see a fair amount of interest in at the luxury price point is going to be waterfront as well. So a little bit in Jansen Beach, we'll see the community there, Lotus Isle Beach, Lotus Isle Drive are both going to have, the kind of higher end homes there, as well as kind of a smattering of middle of the road homes. And then the waterfront in Vancouver, as well as in Camas, we'll always see a lot of interest there. Granted, you're right along the railroads, but
you've got that bluff, and you've got a beautiful view of the river and over to the Oregon side.
Yeah.
It's worth it for a lot of folks.
Yeah. And then, West Hills, of course.
Always.
The hills, just being able to have those insane views of the mountains and all that. I mean...
Yeah, Tabor, Mount Scott, and then the West Hills, of course. Yeah. Anywhere you're going to command that view.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think as far as, compromising scale for finishes, I don't even know that scale and finishes are mutually exclusive. I think what you end up compromising more for is location, but if you are buying in the luxury market, I think you could expect that you'd be able to purchase something that is luxury and be able to accomplish the bulk of your goals because, you're buying a luxury home, you're buying the dream home. You shouldn't have to compromise. That's the reality. Now, maybe that means having a higher budget, but that's sort of the expectation. And we have kind of a funkiness with Portland and luxury. Irvington is a great example that because it's a historic neighborhood, you're not really allowed to make any massive changes to the facade of your home. We had a home that we saw recently that there was an unpermitted basement bedroom, and the reason it wasn't permitted was because there was no egress. And because there was no egress, the reason there was no egress window from the basement was that it would change the facade of the house. And so they'd have to go through tremendous reviews to potentially get it to happen, but you're really not supposed to change the exterior of your home. So while you are buying this premium property, you're still kind of dealing with, you have to play the rules of certain neighborhoods or play the game in certain neighborhoods.
I think we've got some historic district or some historic homes designated in the Nob Hill area for sure. Laurelhurst maybe has some. I think Ladd's Addition.
Laurelhurst for sure.
Yeah. You've got definitely some rules that come along with the inner city sort of lux.
Yeah. So luxury condo or luxury house?
For me?
Just in general, what's a better pick?
I mean, I think we have more volume in terms of available product for homes, for sure. That South Waterfront and Pearl are always going to be destinations for that luxury condo market. I think I would say homes have more flexibility and more growth opportunity, of course, because with the condo, you are sort of locked into those 4 square walls, no land to build out on, and you can't add any things that might further enhance your property.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to consider when you are buying a luxury property is, are you concerned with resale? Does this work for my needs, and am I concerned with getting my money back out of it? Because, you'll find that with condos, the biggest challenges that people run into, and I guess the optics shift pretty radically for someone who is buying a property that's, $4 or $5 million. They're less focused on, okay, well, my taxes are $60,000 a year, and my HOAs are 20 or 30 or, whatever. The perspective is more focused on the fit for you. When it comes to properties like that, I would say, the biggest challenge is it's very much a niche buyer. If you do ever purchase a property like that, expect that, you want to try and negotiate down as much as you can to kind of preserve that bottom line for yourself, if that's a concern for you. to sell it at a profit and not at a loss, which I'm assuming it is. And then, subsequently, if you do market it, anticipate that you're probably not going to find a buyer in the first, unless it's this crazy unique property that appeals to a massive audience, anticipate you'll be on the market for a good long while.
Yeah, your timeline's definitely stretched.
And anticipate that you may have to take a hit on whatever price it is that you list at. That's just kind of the reality of it.
And your marketing efforts are definitely going to be different and broader for a Lux sale. We've seen, looking at magazine articles or newspaper articles, having folks come and tour and then spread the word that way on top of sort of your regular.
You're talking about like marketing through like on a more like
once you're on the other side of it and you decide I want to sell this Lux property that I purchased and maybe up or downsize. Just the marketing from that perspective in terms of
like how you want to have it promoted. Yeah. I mean, it's a very different approach. You're probably not going to be marketing just to people in Portland.
Right.
Because the reality is the average, home buyer is not shopping in that price range. So you want to look at, national and international investors because there's a pretty healthy, market there, but they're probably not going to be checking, every single day for something like that. Maybe they are, but better to broadcast as wide as you can and have someone who is doing that for you, hint, hint, to have that maximum visibility. You want to be the property getting the most attention, the most notice. So I would say, that's worth considering there.
And Portland still remains, of the West Coast cities, or the major West Coast cities, still a bargain at really all price levels.
I think maybe another item worth noting in there is, in that context, right? Like the niche of it. When you are building a luxury home, you're probably building it with your own tastes in mind, which is great. That's what you want out of the house. You want it to be suited to you,
right.
But it might not suit other people. Someone else might not want an entirely wallpapered house, or they might not want a marble bathroom. I don't know. Just be mindful of that in that context. And you may not even have to, because, a lot of these properties you'll want to hold on to for a good long while. It's your forever home. It's your investment property. It's your vacation property. So it doesn't really come up all that often for people, but it is worth noting that these are longer game homes for people more often than not. So we have gone ahead and picked our top three, 1, 2, 3 favorite luxury properties currently on the market. So you can drool over these homes as much as we do. Coming in, number 1 is going to be 1305 Southwest Myrtle Court.
This is the most expensive home on the market right now in the Portland metro area.
What's it listed at?
A smooth 9.495.
It's got 3 beds, 3.5 baths, and 7,581 square feet. Just an insane like glass fishbowl experience. But here's a great example, right? Like you're paying for the views in a lot of cases because it is a big house. It's almost 8,000 square feet, but
you wouldn't think it by the numbers.
Well, it's 3 beds, 3.5 baths.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting like, your big compound family experience necessarily. A lot of square footage, but you're I think as much as you're paying for the finishes, you're paying for the location. All right. So,
not bad.
That's a good one. Patrik, what do we got next?
Next up, we're going to move a little bit out to the West Hills, almost a full acre, which is sort of unheard of, at 3425 Southwest Brentwood Drive, listed just under $5 million. It's 5 beds, 4 baths, 8,067 square feet.
Let's check out number 2. So, a bit more of a classic style home, certainly less of the hyper modern, hyper contemporary. Although, what I love about when they refinish homes of this era is that, they're able to take a lot of the more dated elements or components that are just kind of get tired out or worn out, and they're able to enliven them and bring them back to their former glory, which is always cool to see.
Where are we going for number 3?
So for number 3, we're actually going to change it up and show you an example of what it is that we're talking about when we're talking about luxury condos. So we're heading over to 311 Northwest 12th Ave, unit number 903. Price point is 2.1, 2 beds, 2.5 baths, and 2652 square feet. So this is right in the heart of Northwest, so downtown. Lots of great, accessibility to bars, restaurants, so on and so forth. And I mean, man, like square footage for a condo, it's pretty incredible. Yeah. So yeah, let's check this bad boy out.
You can't miss it. It's the yellow building in the Pearl.
So I think the nice thing about a condo for some people is you have the concierge experience. You have the front door man. You're right in the middle of stuff. You don't really have to deal with yard maintenance. You don't have to deal with yard maintenance at all. You're paying a premium for your HOA and for your taxes, but some people really want that. Some people are really stoked on the idea of just having like everything taken off their plate and just be able to walk. And maybe the kitchen isn't even a priority. Yeah. Nice to have a nice kitchen though, regardless. This is, I think, probably one of the more expensive condos that's on the market right now. There is another one, but we weren't able to find a great video tour of it. And so we thought this would be a better example. But, I would say that you are paying, I think, a bit more of a premium for location in this case than you are for the finishes of what it is that you're getting.
Yeah, location and ease. Yeah.
If you want something really like just knock your socks off, you might have to go a little bit higher in price. But this is beautiful. Yeah. This is like very reminiscent of like, loft apartment living in New York, just kind of understated quality. You would look at it and say, I don't think that, I don't know how much that costs, but I'm sure it's expensive because I've never seen it before, Well, thanks so much for joining us today,
Our inaugural
beverage. This was really super fun. Got to talk a bit about the market, got to talk a bit about houses that we're interested in, got to talk about all sorts of stuff.
Big shout out to our friends at the By and By for the inspiration. Be sure to check them out. They also have a sister restaurant on Belmont called Sweet Hereafter.
Yeah, so this was a fledgling project, as we said. So really, if you guys have thoughts or ideas, what would you want to see out of a podcast? Are there specific topics that you're interested in hearing about in the Portland market? We want to know. So feel free to leave a comment. Once you're done hitting that button to subscribe, feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you want to hear about the next month. Because we're doing another one of these. Another one of these next month. This was super fun. Thanks for joining us. And I hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Goodbye.